Our first reading comes from America, from the Unitarian Universalist Church. And it's by a lady called Lisa Doge. The Love's the Thing. I was a foster parent long before I was at home, and an inside look at families in the system reveals pretty quickly that love and parenthood are two different qualities, and the relationship between them is neither straightforward nor guaranteed. Of course, the same is true of love and friendship, love and kinship, love and partnership. No seasonal flurry of red and pink hearts changes that. But the inevitable heartbreak and challenge of opening ourselves to love notwithstanding, love is the thing. The thing all the poets and lyricists and artists of the ages must capture and express, and the thing none of them can agree on. The thing for which we courageously lay ourselves bare, and the thing against which we erect barriers of cunning devising. And love, according to our Unitarian forebears, is the thing that holds us all. In all our holy human perfection and all our wretched human brokenness, which cannot be separated one from the other, love holds us all. That makes each of us a Valentine, love's Valentine, God's Valentine, mystery's Valentine. If you listen very carefully, you'll hear a voice from both within and beyond, saying something sweeter and more miraculous than, "Will you be my Valentine?" It is even now whispering, singing, calling, declaring, as it has from the day you were born and will to the day that you die. It says, "You are my Valentine." The love's the thing. And we have a poem now, also from the Unitarian Universalist tradition. This is from Gary Kowalski. We give thanks for love, agape and eros, chocolate and pillow talk, and all of Cupid's arrows, for unrequited yearning and the grand passion burning, for quiet appreciation and platonic contemplation. For lovers too we offer thanks, those gay and straight, near and dear, gender metamorphic or beautifully queer, for swooning adolescents and seniors in senescence, who are the bloom in life's bouquet, the hearts and flowers of Valentine's Day. For all that makes our pulses run, heart rates quicken, and keeps tickers ticking, we bless you, Lord, who made Eve with Adam, and filled the world with both sirs and madams, for birds and bees and varieties of conjugation. We lift our voice in celebration. A poem by Gary Kowalski. Now I'm going to invite my dad up to read some quotes from Rumi, the Sufi poet, on the subject of love.
Rumi on love. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really it will not lead you astray. In your light I learn how to love, and your beauty how to make poems. You dance inside my chest when no one sees you, but sometimes I do. That sight becomes this art. Wherever you are and whatever you do, be in love. Close your eyes, fall in love, stay there. Love rests on no foundation. It is an endless ocean with no beginning and no end. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes. Because for those who love with heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They are each other all along. We are born to love. Love is our mother. You have within you more love than you could ever understand. If you become a pilgrim on the road of love, the first condition is that you make yourself humble as dust and ash. We serve in the religion of love. There is no believers or unbelievers. Love embraces all. You are the soul of the universe. And your name is love. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. This is a subtle truth. Whenever you love, you are.
Okay, would you like to come and give us a song?
This is a little bit of song to the vision. Darling, as fair as the flowers that bloom on the side and meadow and brighten the world with beauty and colour, my dearest sweet love of my heart. Your eyes that shine like waves on the seashore, like waves that dance and sparkle in sunshine, no mermaid so fair as you, my beloved, my dearest sweet love of my heart. Your voice as soft as breezes of summer, as breezes that stir the leaves of the forest, no bird so sweet as your voice, beloved, my dearest sweet love of my heart. Your hand clasped in mine, caressing and gentle, the kiss of your lips, delightful as heaven, two hearts joined as one, in joy of our loving, my dearest sweet love of my heart. So let us enjoy this love we are given, for love is a gift that comes from God's heaven. To love is to live, and life is for living, my dearest sweetheart, my dearest sweet love of my heart. For words of love should always be spoken, and hearts in love should never be broken. I give you my heart, our love for a token, my dearest sweet love of my heart. My dearest sweet love of my heart.
Thank you very much. I've not heard that one before.
Well, none of you would. It's one of the old minutes. So nobody's heard it except when I've performed it in the folk clubs.
Oh, that's lovely. Thanks to you. Sounded like a popular song, and you should write it down.
I can't claim any credit for the tune, though. That's a Gaelic tune that I used for it.
Nice, thank you. These are some quotes from the Dalai Lama on the subject of love.
The Dalai Lama on love. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. The more you are motivated by love, the more fearless and free your action will be. We can reject everything else, religion, ideology, all received wisdom, but we cannot escape the necessity of love and compassion. This then is my true religion, my simple faith. In this sense, there is no need for temple or church, for mosque or synagogue, no need for complicated philosophy, doctrine or dogma. Our own heart, our own mind is the temple. The doctrine is compassion, love for others and respect for their rights and dignity, no matter who or what they are. Ultimately, these are all we need. So long as we practice these in our daily lives, then no matter if we are learned or unlearned, whether we believe in Buddha or God or follow some other religion or none at all. As long as we have compassion for others and conduct ourselves with restraint and with a sense of responsibility, there is no doubt we will be happy. Remember that the best relationship is one which your love for each other exceeds your need for each other. We can live without religion and meditation, but we cannot survive without human affection. Love is the absence of judgment. When we feel love and kindness towards others, it not only makes others feel loved and cared for, but it helps us also to develop inner happiness and peace.
Thank you, Brian. Very wise words from a very wise man. Love lives within us all. It surrounds us all the time. Every time our heart beats, it's because something loves us. We are the manifestation of love. We must never forget. Amen. I'd like to invite David up now to give us some music. So we're going to have another poem now. And this is from a Victorian poet called John Addington Symonds. And he was a gay poet in the Victorian period, which was not much fun for him. And it's called The Sleeper. Half light of dawn in the hushed upper room, where all night long two comrades side by side have slumbered in the summer-scented gloom, fanned by faint breezes from a window wide. He sleeps and stirs not. He, meanwhile, awake, steadfastly gazing and with mind intent to drink soul deep of beauty, dares not break, by breath or sigh, his own heart's ravishment. Bare arms light folded on the broad bare chest, dark curls crisp clustering round the athlete's head, shoulder and throat heroic, all is rest. Marble with loveliest hues of life o'erspread. Life in the glowing cheeks, the hands sun brown, the warm blood tinkling to each fingertip. Life in youth's earliest bloom of tender down, tawny on chin and strong short upper lip. Life in the cool white, flushed with faintest rose of flank and heaving bosom, where each vein half seen, a thread of softest violet flows, like streaks that some full-throated lily stain. Deep rest and draught of slumber. Not one dream ruffles the mirror of that sentient sea, whereon the world in all its pride will gleam, when the soul starts from sleep so royally. Hush, 'tis a bell of morning, far and near, from sea-set tower and island chimes reply. Thrills the still air with sound divinely clear, and the stirred sleeper wakens with a sigh. February marks LGBT History Month, And if ever there was a need in this world for people to be allowed to love and be loved in whatever sexuality they are born with, now is the time. Many years ago, I went traveling in Ukraine. I met a handful of gay Ukrainians who were living their lives untroubled and authentic to themselves. Granted, they were more discreet than Western gay people. They had to live quietly because of the religious background of their country, but their sexuality was never threatened and they were not discriminated against as far as I could see in my week there. They called their partners brother. They called their sexuality open-minded rather than gay, but they were not under threat. It was more an act of politeness, a coexistence of queer sexuality and religious fervor. They were discreet, and everyone else looked the other way. It was perhaps what some might call a two-state solution. I have seen plenty of footage from Russia. That is not a country where queerness of any type of difference is tolerated. The government actively sanctioned the political, popular, and physical threatening of anyone who identifies as LGBT+ or who works for their rights. If our history has taught us anything, it is that we must stand up for people's rights to be who they are, for people to love and be loved in all ways. We must never surrender to tyranny and oppression. Many years ago, I was lucky enough to meet the gay author Armistead Maupin when he came to Newcastle from his home in San Francisco to give a book talk. Armistead, or Teddy to his friends, lived through a bad period for American gay and liberal values, an act of repression in the name of Christianity and family values, spearheaded by a lady called Anita Bryant. It was America's version of Section 28. And if you want to see more about LGBT historical repression, I recommend the film Milk for the US and Blue Jean for the UK, which is currently showing at the Tyneside Cinema. Back to Armistead Maupin, I want to read you the most famous piece of writing he penned. It is a letter from a son to his mother, written in reaction to her joining Anita Bryant's cause, a letter in which he informs her that he is gay. When this letter was published in the San Francisco Chronicle, many gay sons and daughters cut it out of the newspaper and posted it to their parents. So perfect were Armistead's words in articulating how they felt. This is Letter to Mama. Dear Mama, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to write. Every time I try to write to you and Papa, I realize I'm not saying the things that are in my heart. That would be okay if I loved you any less than I do, but you are still my parents and I'm still your child. I have friends who think I'm foolish to write this letter. I hope they're wrong. I hope their doubts are based on parents who loved and trusted them less than mine do. I hope especially that you'll see this as an act of love on my part, a sign of my continuing need to share my life with you. I wouldn't have written, I guess, if you hadn't told me about your involvement in the Save Our Children campaign. That, more than anything, made it clear that my responsibility was to tell you the truth, that your own child is homosexual, and that I never needed saving from anything except the cruel and ignorant piety of people like Anita Bryant. I'm sorry, Mama, not for what I am, but for how you must feel at this moment. I know what that feeling is, for I felt it for most of my life. Revulsion, shame, disbelief, rejection through fear of something I knew, even as a child, was as basic to my nature as the color of my eyes. No, Mama, I wasn't recruited. No seasoned homosexual ever served as my mentor, but you know what? I wish someone had. I wish someone older than me and wiser than the people in Orlando had taken me aside and said, "You're all right, kid. You can grow up to be a doctor or a teacher just like anyone else. You're not crazy or sick or evil. You can succeed and be happy and find peace with friends, all kinds of friends, who don't give a damn who you go to bed with. Most of all, though, you can love and be loved without hating yourself for it." But no one ever said that to me, Mama. I had to find it out on my own, with the help of the city that has become my home. I know this may be hard for you to believe, but San Francisco is full of men and women, both straight and gay, who don't consider sexuality in measuring the worth of another human being. These aren't radicals or weirdos, Mama. They are shop clerks and bankers and little old ladies and people who nod and smile to you when you meet them on the bus. Their attitude is neither patronizing nor pitying, and their message is so simple. Yes, you are a person. Yes, I like you. Yes, it's all right for you to like me too. I know what you must be thinking now. You're asking yourself, what did we do wrong? How did we let this happen? Which one of us made him that way? I can't answer that, Mama. In the long run, I guess I really don't care. All I know is this. If you and Papa are responsible for the way I am, then I thank you with all my heart, for it's the light and the joy of my life. I know I can't tell you what it is to be gay, but I can tell you what it's not. It's not hiding behind words, Mama, like family and decency and Christianity. It's not fearing your body or the pleasures that God made for it. It's not judging your neighbor except when he's crass or unkind. Being gay has taught me tolerance, compassion, and humility. It has shown me the limitless possibilities of living. It has given me people whose passion and kindness and sensitivity have provided a constant source of strength. It has brought me into the family of man, Mama, and I like it here. I like it. There's not much else I can say, except that I'm the same Michael you've always known. You just know me better now. I have never consciously done anything to hurt you. I never will. Please don't feel you have to answer this right away. It's enough for me to know that I no longer have to lie to the people who taught me to value the truth. Your loving son, Michael. And that was published in 1977.
Next, I would like to invite Louise up, please, to read about Vinegar Valentine.
The Atlas Obscura website. Rude, crude, and insulting, Vinegar Valentines of Victorian era. Nothing like getting surprise detail from a would-be lover on February 14th. In the 1840s, hopeful American and British lovers sent lacy valentines with cursive flourishes and lofty poetry by the thousand. But what to do if you didn't love the person who had set their eyes on you? In the Victorian era, there was no better way to let someone know they were unwanted than the ultimate insult, the Vinegar Valentine. Also called tonic valentines, these unwelcome notes were sometimes crass and always a bit emotionally damaging in the anti-spirit of Valentine's Day. The Vinegar Valentines were commercially bought postcards that were less beautiful than their love-filled counterparts and contained an insulting poem and illustration. They were sent anonymously, so the receiver had to guess who disliked him or her. As if this were not losing enough, the recipient paid postage on delivery. In its Civil War humour, writer Cameron C. Nichols wrote that vinegar valentines were tasteless, even vulgar, and were sent to drunks, shrews, bachelors, old maids, dandies, flirts, penny pinchers, and the like. He added that in 1847, sales between love-minded valentines and these sour notes were split at a major New York valentine publisher. Some vinegar valentines were playful or sarcastic and sold as comic valentines to soldiers, but many could really sting. Lady shoppers and salesmen were sent or handed vinegar valentines admonishing their values. Some vinegar valentines called physicians' names like Dr. Shaw Death, a character who ran up expensive bills, and others tried it for a stupid postman who was sending the vinegar valentines. The women's suffrage movement of the late 19th and early 20th century brought another class of vinegar valentines, targeting women who thought for the right to vote. While only a small percentage of mean-spirited cards were devoted to suffragists, Kenneth Story argues in American Women's Suffrage Postcards that it is clear from their context that an interest in women's rights was an inherent part of one's distorted personality. These cards depicted such women as ugly abusers, but it isn't known whether these were sent directly to essentially troll women's rights activists, or if they were sent simply to like-minded friends who also disagreed with the suffrage movement. Suffragists did have their own pro-women's rights valentines to pass around on February 14th. Rumi wrote that one who insults anti-suffragists with the phrase, "No vote, no kiss." But in light of the supposed unattractiveness of suffragists, according to some men, many 19th century women enticed their would-be lovers by sending cards that denied support of the women's rights cause. One of these cards, quoted by Story, depicted a pretty woman surrounded by hearts with a plain appeal. In these mild days of suffragette praise, I'm sure you've never overlooked. Girl who can't be militant but simply loves to cook. You can see why that was good out of fashion. Many vinegar valentines from the late 19th century were drawn by Charles Howard, who put ridiculous caricatures of the sorry recipient in full colour. An issue of Kindergarten Primary magazine from 1895 worried about the moral implications of these cards for children. A teacher from Iowa noted that she staved off the desire to send vulgar valentines by telling students stories from St. Valentine's treacherous life. The magazine says that teachers must do what they could to help make it a day for kind remembrance, rather than a day for weak revenge. Valentines and vinegar valentines were once a booming business. In 1905, in San Francisco, 25,000 valentines were delayed because of overworked cards. The more surly cards, however, weren't always welcomed by the postmasters. And another 25,000 valentines were held in a Chicago post office for being unfit to send due to the many rude and vinegar valentines in the hall. As postage became more expensive and gifts became more prevalent, the vinegar valentine became less popular, although in some locations in the 1970s, they were still selling quite well. While some might mourn the romantic February 14th of the past, with its long poems and declarations of love, rather than the more commercial version we sometimes see today, I suppose we should console ourselves with the knowledge that at least it's much less likely we'll get a nasty note in the mail as an unwelcome Valentine's surprise.
And I will extinguish our chalice with today's benediction from Erich Halle-Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow.
in every life.